Shabbat Shalom from Temple Concord. This week our Torah portion has a fascinating story about siblings. We learn about Jacob and Esau, the twins, who, though they shared a womb, were very different souls. Esau was an outdoorsman. He liked to be in the rugged world with animals and hunting and being outside alone. And Jacob was much more cerebral. Jacob wanted to be home with his mother. The two didn't get along too well. And one day Esau comes home and says, "I'm famished, I'm so hungry." And Jacob, instead of just giving him food that he'd been preparing, tricks him and says, "Well, fine, I'll give you food, but you have to give me the birthright in return." Now, that itself is an important first lesson about twins and about siblings. When our siblings ask us for something, do we give it to them, or do we try and play games with them? Now, I'm a sibling. I have 3 older siblings, 2 sisters and a brother, and I'm now the father of 3 siblings. And I can tell you that there are times when we just go for the trick rather than going for the straight-up interaction. And it's not all bad. But the point is, how do we do it and how do we decide when to act which way? Jacob, after all, steals the birthright, and then when Isaac is elderly, Jacob fakes being his brother Esau and goes in and gets the blessing, and on we go with our story. And Jacob we hear a lot about, and Esau not so much. The fighting between the two of them actually begins in the womb, and Jacob gets his name because he holds on to Esau's heel. He's clutching the heel as he's coming out. And so the lesson for us today is, how do we see our siblings? Do we see our siblings as our partners, as those with whom we share the most of our lives, or do we see them as somebody who we have to conquer, somebody with whom we're doing battle? It's easy to see the latter. It's easy to see us in competition with our siblings, because any of us who have siblings know that from time to time we're measured against each other. But I think the Torah is telling us to go beyond that, to not let that simple human instinct prevail, and instead to go and find a way to do what Jacob didn't do, and to offer the brother the food that he wants, and to not try and trick and steal something that doesn't belong to him. If we can figure out a way to move back beyond that basic human instinct of pushing ourselves ahead at all costs, then we have a chance at making peace in our homes and creating peace in the world. If we don't, then we perpetuate the same story of siblings going after each other, of fighting and chaos, and ultimately we end up exactly where we are, which is a world that fills with too much dysfunction. So I hope this Shabbat you'll take the chance to treasure your siblings, to treat them well, to reach out to them, pick up the phone and call them, have them over for a meal. Try to avoid the competition side and instead to nurture the sharing side that we can treasure with our siblings. Shabbat services this Friday evening will be at 6 o'clock here at the temple. We'll have our Shirat Shalom singers, our children's choir, singing with us. Saturday morning we have services at 11. Julia Fay will become a bat mitzvah, preceded of course by Torah study at 10 and text study at 9. And in the coming days, just before Thanksgiving, we have a couple of great opportunities here at the temple. We have a film in our film series Tuesday evening about Jewish sumo wrestlers. That's a great movie and a lot of fun. I hope you can join us. And just after Thanksgiving, on Monday the 1st, we'll gather in the next of our diaspora dinners. We're going to be meeting at Francesca's in Little Italy on North Salina Street to learn about the Jews of Italy and to share a wonderful Italian meal together. And of course, there are still a few spots open on our trip to Israel. Now is the time, if you haven't been, come explore with me and with my good friend Reverend Bill Redfield, and together we can create a new world, not just for ourselves here, but there as well. For now, I wish you a Shabbat filled with siblings, with the joys and challenges that come with being a sibling, and treasuring that relationship that begins so early in life and lasts fairly long into our lives. Shabbat Shalom for now. Look forward to seeing you in the temple.